What's going on, awesome people? It is Saturday and it's 3 p.m., which means that it's the beginning of another episode of the Why I Care Impact Retreat IG Live series. Is this the first time that you're dropping into this IG Live series? Well, then let me tell you a little bit about it. So the Why I Care IG Live series really just began as a way to kind of amplify the messaging and the overall wording of the Impact Retreat. So the Impact Retreat is what we're producing at Unite and Conquer in Miami between April 28th and May 1st. And essentially, it's a ultimate 4-day, 3-night experience where we're welcoming 10 modern-day Persian entrepreneurs so that we can help them with their personal development as well as their professional connections, network, and development in general too. And so we have a lineup of incredible presenters that are all bring a different type of value to these 10 uniters. Everything from sales to marketing to branding to legal to promotions to wellness to mental health. Really every single aspect that you can think of that will make you whole in your personal and professional life. We've basically done our best to bring experts and enthusiasts to the table. And it's been an incredible ride so far, having these IG lives with some of our past presenters. And now it's time to welcome another one of those presenters. It's going to be Pedram Farsaiii. He's a longtime friend of mine. He is a senior digital business consultant at Salesforce right now. His experience includes being at Amazon and Washington Post and Blackboard. And I've been able to have a front row seat to the last 15 years of his professional growth. And he's for the DMV area people, he was one of the first DJs at my entertainment company, Exclusive Entertainment. So him and I have a whole different bond of hundreds of events on stage, incredible weddings, incredible events, and those are memories that I really, really cherish. And so he was one of the founding pillars of Exclusive Entertainment. I'm very grateful for everything that he's done to have EE have the reputation that it does have in the DMV area. And he's done it again in the past couple of years with Unite and Conquer and now the Impact Retreat. So definitely excited to bring him on board so he can share a little bit more of his journey, what he's going to be presenting about, and why he's a part of Impact Retreat. So especially if you're an entrepreneur, business owner, you definitely want to stick around. He's got a ton of knowledge that he's going to share with you. And Kia is giving a shout out to DJ Ice. That was his old school name, DJ Pedram. Thank God we dropped that DJ name. But speaking of DJing, Friday, March 11th, if you're in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, we're teaming up with the University of Maryland's Iranian Students Foundation, my alma mater. So great to be back over there for Charshamba Studio. So Friday, March 11th, click the link in my bio for more information about that. And in general, after the IG Live, click the link in my bio for more information for the Unite and Conquer Impact Retreat in Miami, April 28th through May 1st. Anyways, let's get right into it. Let's bring on Pedram. Like I said, be a super casual, fun conversation. And that's how weekend IG Live should be anyways. So in 3, 2, 1, let's welcome Pedram Farsaiii.
Hello. Can you see me okay?
Oh, you look so dapper, Pedram. I love it.
I try my best for you, Iman. How you doing?
Good, man. Good to see you, brother. How are you? Good?
I'm doing great. It's the first time on IG Live for me. I'm glad it's
is it? All right, we're popping your IG Live series cherry.
That's one way to put it. Yes, there you go.
All right, man. Well, listen, I obviously know you very well. So, but for those who don't know you, can you kind of give them a little personal and professional background of who Pedram Farsaiii is?
Sure. Well, hello, everybody. And first off, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me today, Iman. I'm really excited to be a part of this event. Of course, I think you mentioned it earlier with such a gracious intro of me. But I've been, just a little bit professionally, I've been in marketing for, 15 years now, since I graduated college at University of Maryland. And really, it's been a journey, right? When you get out of college, you don't really know what you're doing. In fact, you mentioned this earlier as well. I was DJing for quite some time, pretty much full time after college. And it was a passion. When you started EE or Exclusive Entertainment, that was around the time that I had started DJing, sort of, like 3-4 years into my DJ career. And, around that same time, I was like, well, I love music, but I also feel like I should, adopt a professional career as well, I guess, yeah, right. The Persian side of it is like, hey, maybe just in case the DJing doesn't work out, I could, see if I can make a few bucks in this whole marketing world. So I started off kind of not knowing anything what I was doing. And right around the Great Recession in 2008, I started to learn a little bit about website optimization. I was kind of, well, I'm going to talk about this quite a lot during the retreat, but there's a whole lot of buzzwords in the marketing realm. You might have heard Web point 1, Web point 2.0, and now we're emerging into Web 3.0. And 2008 Great Recession was right around the burgeoning of Web 2.0, and basically what that is essentially like a vast shift to mobile and like the experiences we see today in our mobile world. And I started learning more and more about what Google does and why that was important to our everyday experience. And so you're very familiar with these three letters, SEO. So I started to understand what SEO meant. And for those who don't know, it means search engine optimization. And essentially, when we search for anything, there is a rhyme or reason why certain businesses pop up first below the sponsored ads, right? And so to learn the importance of that, and as the economy was shrinking, I learned quickly that businesses need to put money into places when the economy is shrinking that gets the most bang for their buck. And that quickly started to become more and more evident that it was in the realm of Google. And that's how I started my journey of digital marketing, understanding that organic search, or the place where people look for stuff, there's a rhyme and a reason, and you can assist people in doing that. And so while I didn't take the entrepreneur route, I started getting jobs in that field. One of my first jobs, my first real jobs in the digital marketing SEO world was with Marriott, where I worked with probably like 30, 40 hotels at any given time inside of Marriott International corporate headquarters, where I implemented like a lot of mini tactics for these folks to get higher and higher in the Google search results. And that's where it all started. And then slowly thereafter, I'll try to condense a 15-year marketing journey into, what did I do next? After Marriott, I went to the next level and got an MBA at Georgetown. And that kind of took me into more larger corporate positions. Right after my MBA, I went to the Washington Post, where I took essentially my past experience in understanding what SEO and digital marketing sort of was, and I catapulted that into the front lines, where I started running a whole acquisition unit for digital subscriptions, right? So the Washington Post at the time was and still was very focused on getting new subscribers to pay for digital content. And my job essentially was use as many resources as you can, both paid and non-paid, to get more people on board to subscribe.
You were actually with Washington Post, correct me if I'm wrong, it was right when they realized that, paper is going to be going out. We need to be front and center digitally. Is
that whole idea of paper is going out was happening for right around that transition of Web 2.0 that I was telling you. Mm-hmm. But I think Jeff Bezos acquired the Post in 2013, and then I started my work there in 2014, like a year and a half after. And that was a huge digital shift. And so they put a lot of resources into getting the subscriber base up. Anyway, after that, I went on to Amazon. After the Washington Post, of course, there's a connection between the Bezos-owned property and then kind of a little bridge to Amazon. And things kept getting hotter and hotter in the digital, and continued to be hot in the digital marketing world, where essentially how was marketing as a whole shifting online? How had it been shifting online, and how do we keep optimizing dollar spend and branding and marketing strategy digitally? So at Amazon, what I was doing, I worked for the cloud computing side of Amazon Web Services. And at AWS, what I was doing is running digital marketing for a program for students, college-age students, and some high school-age students to learn cloud computing at no cost. So Amazon sponsored a whole education program for students to learn in-demand tech skills in the cloud for free. And so I would be running the digital marketing and marketing in general for that entire program around the world, which is really cool. If you remember how often, you and I have been close for quite some time, you remember how often I'd be in a different country or a different state. Awesome, yeah. But very brutal. Hence why, then my final career move, which is where I'm at right now, is at Salesforce and the .org side, which is a pretty.
I wouldn't say final. I would say most recent. There's plenty more.
Where I was at Salesforce.org, and I work with nonprofit and education customers. Like, think of University of Maryland, or in fact, that they are the University of Maryland Global Campus is one of my clients, and nonprofits maybe such as like major nonprofits as American Heart Association, not one of my personal clients, but Salesforce client nonetheless. And working with these folks in their marketing strategy before they purchase Salesforce. So a lot of these folks, for those who don't know, Salesforce started as a CRM, and it still is very much so CRM focused. But they also have an entire tech unit, which is very large, called their Marketing Cloud, which essentially is a bunch of marketing tools and resources businesses can purchase and use to amplify their marketing strategy, right? And so I work with these clients currently to hash out through their marketing strategy, and then through their sales process or through their process of getting to know their marketing strategy, help them realize their vision of purchasing what they want from Salesforce to make sure it connects and bridges the gap to their marketing strategy. And that's what I've done professionally over 15 years, over the last 5-minute explanation. But you did mention a little bit personally, our relationship, you and I, Iman, has been around since we both were in college, but really since I started college. And, you know, I started off as a DJ with you, and I think that kind of burnt a lot of fire as you grew your business and as I grew my professional life, to kind of find that synergy for both of us to keep growing the things that we like. And, you know, you pushing me to help me grow my journey in marketing, and also me helping you with the business side of things whenever on the website side of things, and even helping me become a better DJ when I was doing it more often. So really cool story you and I have, and yeah, I'm happy to share it with your audience.
I mean, first of all, Pedram has helped so much with exclusive entertainment's SEO and stuff, and I'm so grateful for that. But yeah, man, it's been a great journey for us, both personally and professionally. And really, that's what Unite and Conquer is all about. It's about leveraging the people that you have around, complement each other's like weaknesses. You know, the things that you're extremely strong at, they really fill a massive hole in our businesses. And I always want to support you as well. You know, and that's really the whole premise of Unite and Conquer as a whole. It's the premise definitely of the Impact Retreat, where we're bringing other professionals and entrepreneurs together. And you know, you're gonna bring so much expertise in a field that is, I would say, essential for any brand or business. You know, and that is the marketing. And of course, in today's day and age, it's a digital marketing. And you know, I know that in 100 years, when we look back into the world of digital marketing, we're still in the infancy of it, you know, like we're still so much, not just in the beginning of it, but it's always evolving. So it's like almost we're always going to be in the infancy when you compare to what's going to happen in 20, 50 years with the metaverse and et cetera. But right now in 2022, based on this expertise and this space that you're in, what are some trends that you're seeing in marketing that's sticking out to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. There are so many things going on, and a lot of what we're seeing today is has very much so burgeoned from the past 2 years, right? The game has shifted dramatically in the past 2 years because of and how people consume content more and more, and how they purchase things and how they engage with brands. I forget the specific stat that I saw, and I can follow up with you on this, but I'm just going to say in air quotes, a vast majority. There was a study done that was something like over the first year of the pandemic, about 5 years of digital transformation occurred in most businesses, right? So imagine if you've ever worked in the corporate, I know you've had a corporate job. Imagine during that time frame, if you would need to get something up the funnel or get a decision made, if you recall probably how much resources and time and layers of politics you had to potentially go through. Now, there was such a dramatic shift in the industry, in the marketing world, and it's just general business world, that folks had to get things done online, that 5 years of digital transformation in most businesses happened within a year. That is huge, massive. I wish I remember the exact percentage of businesses who vouched for that, but it was a Salesforce study that was done, but it was 5 years in 1 year, which is insane. And so that brings me to the first huge trend, and that is there has been a massive gear towards personalization more than ever. So you have experienced this more and more. Everyone has, down to the emails you get that is substantially more based on your behavior. If you down to how you experience a journey on your phone when you go on an Uber ride, everything, the best businesses, everything is curated to you as as you possibly want. And that is actually facilitated by a lot of the tools that I work with and consult on businesses with. In fact, there is a study here I have on my screen here, and I wanted to point this stat out. 92% of marketers say that their customers expect personalized experiences. So almost 100% of the people that you and anyone will deal with are going to expect a personalized experience in some capacity. That is just for folks who want to know the source. That's a 2020 report by Evergage. And I like to bring that up because it's so important, because personalization is not just sending an email with their name on it, right? Like, hello, Iman. That's not personalization. I mean, it's a form of it if you want to think about it. But but personalization is, are you segmenting your database in a certain way that is really relevant to them? Do you know who your personas are? And a persona being, do you know who your, like, for example, an EE, do you know the specific, not only age range, demographic of folks who are signing up for DJ services, but do you also know where they are in their lives? Do you also know kind of things, their own personal pain points, what they truly want? And that's the idea of persona modeling and all that. And the more you understand that customer, and the more you understand exactly what it is that they want, the more personalized you can get your marketing. And the second one is that I'm noticing more and more is, and this is more on the back end on the corporate side, is a lot more investment into technology and the staffing behind that, right? So I'm a little biased working at a tech company, but it hasn't just been at Salesforce. This is throughout my entire career. I've noticed the way that most companies are investing in data analytics, staffing who understand how to do these segmentations and bring business analysis and business value to the customer. To the businesses to then make decisions based on that data. You know, where are folks on your website? What are they doing? What are these conversion rates? All these buzzwords I'm talking about right now. Essentially, you have your gearing towards personalization, and finally, you know, an investment in technology that the best businesses and those who are most apt and in tune with their customers will win over the next decade. And that's what I've been noticing, the two biggest trends.
And you know what's great is that the customers will win. I mean, this is great. I mean, it just makes sense that, you know, you're creating a better experience for customers. So on this side, those people will definitely reap the benefits. Now, what about on the other end? When you're talking to your clients, what are some of the fundamental best practices that when you're talking to clients and you're like, you know, thinking out the best marketing strategy for them, what comes to mind?
Right. So there are quite a lot of fundamentals. But the number one and the biggest thing I always tell is starting with the customer and working backwards, right? In fact, in the spirit of Amazon, like I just mentioned, one of their leadership principles are essentially literally plastered on walls inside their corporate headquarters. One of the many is customer obsession, right? What does that mean? It doesn't mean going knocking on your customer's door and, you know, giving them white glove service. I mean, it can, depending on who your customer is and what your business is, but it really is reacting to them. I'm sorry, not necessarily reacting, but using your data to make sure they are given what they want, right? So you might feel your competitors are making moves. You don't want to make moves just because they are, but you want to make moves for the folks who matter to you the most, right? And so this customer obsession is routed in what I like to call a value hypothesis. So every time I'm starting with a marketer, a client, to give them marketing strategy or starting to unravel their marketing, I ask them to tell me, what is the first thing, what is the biggest value you provide? Isn't necessarily the top-notch DJs, which, hey, I'm going to be selfish and say we have some of the best in the Iranian American community, right? Or we like to say that, but it's not necessarily that. The value we bring is an unforgettable life experience at a wedding. The value we bring is peace of mind. The value we bring is years of experience and trust. Trust is huge. So how do we unravel all that to come to a value hypothesis or a value statement to your customer and work your marketing backwards from that? That's their number one. That's the fundamental start of almost all my marketing conversations.
Yeah, no, I mean for sure. Like as far as EE is concerned, is basically how do you make them feel, you know, and
Right.
you give them all the things you just mentioned. Well, I mean, listen, those are all great little nuggets for sure. In the last few minutes of our little chit chat, man, I really want you to just kind of share why, like, I mean, obviously you and I are friends, and I appreciate you helping out, but
Of course.
there's a deeper reasoning as to why you're lending your name, your experience, your talent. I mean, you're coming all the way from DC to, well, it is Miami, so I understand why you want to come to Miami, but tell me a little bit of what you feel about the Impact Retreat and
Yeah.
why you think it's important. As you're an Iranian American, we're
Yeah.
trying to get Iranians. What are your thoughts about the whole retreat and stuff?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I enjoy about this is the opportunity to build more community, right? I think community, like one person can only get so much done, but a community can get a lot more done, right? And so not only is there a lot, I know I just talked about value, but not only is there a lot of value in what each presenter is bringing, a unique point of view about what we're going to be speaking on, but the whole ability to create a community, a stronger community, helps not only Iranian Americans, but also everyone's personal growth, professional growth. I've seen that in 10 out of 10 times, 100% of times, when there is a community of people going towards a similar goal of unity, is always better, and it creates more passion for the things that you love. And when you approach me for this idea, it's something that I almost thought was a no-brainer. I love the idea of community. I love the idea of working with fellow Iranian Americans, hearing their stories, and having an opportunity to help and give my experiences and how I can see if maybe my story can help other folks. And that's the biggest reason. I've seen what you've been doing in the Persian community for 20 years, and it's always been about community. From you wearing that jumpsuit at Farsaii Studio 18 years ago, 15 years ago, to what you're doing now.
I still have that. I might bring it next Friday to
I
Charles.
hope you do. I hope you do. But no, for real, it's always been about community. And you've built a great community, and now on top of the audiences you've built, now there's an opportunity to build more around entrepreneurs, Persian Americans, and expand that in the future. And I'm very happy to be a part of that.
Yeah, man, no, we definitely appreciate it. So give a little more like insight of like what you want to be talking about at this especially at the presentation itself, so like what are some of the key takeaway points you hope to take away?
So I'm still working on the specifics, but the idea of what I'm going to be bringing to the table is going to be about crafting your marketing strategy in a post-pandemic world. Now, I talk about that almost every day currently, and it's very relevant. The whole idea of understanding your customers better, understanding your data better, and creating and forming personas for your customers will carry the right business, carry the best businesses to over the next 10 years, hands down. If businesses do not do that today, they will be left behind by they will be beaten by the businesses who do not. And that's not just saying, hey, I know I'm good at this thing and I want to provide it to the market. Obviously, you're starting a business, or you are an entrepreneur for a reason, or you have a job for a reason. But diving deep into the why and creating that marketing strategy and sticking to it and creating baseline and goals to track your progress against it is huge. And I want to dive into ways and strategies to do that, and even provide a framework, a marketing workshop framework that folks can take back to their own teams or implement themselves to create for themselves. And that's what I'm going to be, in a nutshell, talking about.
I love that, man. What is I'm trying to look at my notes here, but I had pretty much gone through all the questions that I had. What is the one thing that you want to kind of give as like a last suggestion for an entrepreneur that is trying to start getting into the digital marketing? Like, like literally they have nothing, whether it's because it's SEO,
Right.
there's different kind of things going on. So right now, here's a young professional, and
Sure.
they have a little bit of funding to put towards this. Where do they start?
So, I would say keep it simple, right? Digital marketing is a vast world. I'm obviously in a corporate position, right? So my POV is a lot different. But putting myself in the shoes when I worked for a small business, in fact, years ago, when I did do a lot of this work, I would keep it simple. I wouldn't want to go too big too fast. So if it's as simple as a small website and then doing keyword work research via Google AdWords tool and seeing what your market really likes in your area, I would start there. Keep it simple and expand. Don't try to go too far too fast. Stay hyper focused on what you're good at, and ensure that what you provide truly is the best for the customer you want to serve. That's where I would start. And in fact, that's where you and I started, or I shouldn't say you and I, that's where you started 15 years ago when you started EE. You focused primarily on the DJ surface and made sure that perfected that before you added more stuff. And that's where the keywords we started with, so the SEO was involved. That's where we started, and then we expanded thereafter. And you saw the results over time. So do not get overwhelmed by the prospects. Stick to what you're good at and understand your core competencies, and the rest will follow.
So I want to actually ask you this question in closing, and I know I could be asking it off IG, but maybe it helps some people. So the nature of exclusive entertainment, like you mentioned, the brides, you're like getting to know their persona better. How do I get that information from these bride and grooms when our relationship is really very short and sweet, in a sense that they make an inquiry, we send a proposal, then we just start working? Like, some businesses might not be able to get all of that data to be able to make this. What are your suggestions? What are some key things?
Great question. So there is a variety of ways that I've done this in the past. And so obviously, as a small business, you're not going to have a lot of past customer data, right? So you're not going to be asking this information on a prospective customer. You're not going to say, tell me where you are in your life, so to speak. You're not going to say that question in the middle of the proposal process. But what you will do, and what you can do, is you can survey past customers. That's a huge one. You can talk about not only their experiences with you, but also, what were the motivating factors that they were looking for in the proposal process. You can look at website data and craft your own segments personally about where these folks found you first, what time of days that they're actually analyzing, they're doing the research for your business, or whatever, what devices they're coming in on. And then if you are able to send out these surveys and get folks on a phone, or some sort of maybe like a mini deep dive session with a group of folks, you can attach website data and see what survey data you can get from them by asking a lot of specific questions. And then you ultimately create a picture. A persona is like a fictional character that you will be able to talking to when you send out your marketing
like an avatar,
so to speak. You have a little picture of someone and then description of who they are. And many businesses, you have several per segment. Some just have one. It doesn't have to be too complicated, but knowing who the core is good, is huge. So that's where I would start when trying to look for that information.
That's great, man. Super helpful for sure. All right, man. Well, listen, our time has come to a close, but I do want to thank you again for, you've been a unite and conquer, a uniter since the EE days, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate you being a uniter once again at Unite and Conquer. The retreat is better because of you, and we're definitely going to have a lot more fun with you, and Kia especially too. So we're kind of bringing the band together for a couple of fun days in Miami. And I hope it's going to be a great experience for everybody, and we get to continue doing this every 6 months so that we can continue to support other Persian entrepreneurs, and then their success is our success, and vice versa, So appreciate your time, man. Much love, and I'll be in touch.
Thanks, man. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. Appreciate you all. And again, the link is in the bio for more information about the retreat, and link in the bio if you're in the DC area, you want to come to University of Maryland's Iranian Students Foundation, Charsham Basudi, happening Friday, March 11th. Thank you, guys. Have a good Saturday. Ciao. Later, Pedro.
Bye.